Hi everybody, I hope you're having a great day out there today. Today I'm going to get my quilt loaded, and what I would suggest that you do before anything else, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and if you like this video, let me know by hitting that like button down there and ask away in the comments about how I do things, okay? The first thing I got to do is get in between my rails. Now, I'm assuming as I get older, I'm not going to be able to do that much anymore, okay? So what I do is on my backing, let me find the right side, I'm going to go selvage to selvage when I load the quilt. So I've marked the center of my backing with a pin. I'm going to bring down my leader, and we'll have to adjust it here. So this is your leader that you're going to put your backing on. Now I've got my red snappers, okay, and you can get these either from your dealer or Renee has them on her website, and I'll put her link in the description. What I like to do is get the center on, and I'm going to use the small ones just like this. And if you don't have any small ones, you can go ahead and cut them off. These are really easy to cut off with wire cutters. So I'm going to go ahead and put on the center, because that's the easiest. And I'm going to keep it just right after the selvage. Okay, so I'll have it, and I'll take a close-up picture of this after I get it done. And I'll use a small one to connect it. Just like that. They snap on really easy. Let me bring this over, and I'll bring it out to the side. And like I said, I use the small ones to clip them on to get started. Now, obviously, this is the batting, or the backing is pretty long, but I usually don't have a problem getting it on. Then I will bring it out to the side, and I don't use the long ones yet until I get all these on. This is just going to be I put these on just to get the length on here, or the width on here, and then I go back through and put the longer ones on. Now, there are a lot of videos that you can watch on how to load a quilt. I know as I get older, I'm probably not going to be able to get under my rails, and you may not be able to get under your rails either, because you may have bins or whatever the case may be under your area right here. I don't keep anything under here, because in that way I can go ahead and climb under my rails to check my quilting. So once I get it tagged on with the smaller ones, I come back through and I go ahead and put on the longer snappers. Now, the easiest way to do this, especially if your hands are tired or you have arthritis, is bend these all the way back, and then they will go on much easier. And this one is, I'm going to have to change this because I want at least to catch the fabric. Now, I don't have a problem using this with my machine, and I don't go up this high with my machine anyways. And you just push down on them and they go down. And as I come on down to where the little ones are, I take the little ones off. Just like that. So I have this one on, and then we're going to go ahead and do the next one. And I put them right up against one another. I have those on. Now I have a little bit of section left, which I'll be using the shorter one, but I need to move the camera. So I'll be right back. All right. So once you have it on your, this one right here, this one doesn't have a label. What does it say? Oh, take-up lever. Once you have it on your take-up roller, remove your red snappers off of here. I'll come back over here. This is when you get your aerobic workout in, loading a quilt. Then you're going to bring your fabric up and over. Let's find the bottom half here. There we go. Okay, so I have the bottom half. Now I'm going to go ahead and we are going to put it on the, whoops. We're going to put it on this roller. This is going to be your back roller, okay? Now, one of the things I'd like to do is, mine is actually Velcroed on here. I put little Velcro strips on here, and the reason is that way I can roll the bar and it will, the leader will stay. It won't flap forward. So then this way I can go ahead and put this up here where I think it's going to go. And I will put my little red snapper on it to hold it. There we go. Same with this side. Grab a couple more red snappers. There we go. Now I can go ahead and put on my red snappers just like this. I'll take off the little one because I'm going to have to use that one again. Now when I put the red snappers on, I leave about this much room for the fabric. And then we just put the red snapper on. Just like that, okay? And these make really good swords too, if you want to have a sword fight with your kid. I fold these back a lot. They're pretty stiff, but I haven't had an issue with trying to load the quilt because they go on so easy. Now, a lot of people pin their quilts. That's great. I gave up on pins because I kept stabbing myself. Okay, once I have that done, then I will go ahead and I will roll the fabric up, and I make sure as I'm rolling the fabric, I'm smoothing it out. Now, one thing you want to make sure to do is you want to see the wrong side of the fabric, okay? There's a lot of fabric that looks the same on both sides, but make sure that the side that you're looking at from the top is the wrong side. You don't want to do like I did one day, put the fabric on and realize that you had the right side up and start quilting and have to take the whole thing apart. So as you're rolling, you need to smooth out the fabric. Make sure you don't have any big creases. It takes a little bit of time. Don't be in a rush to do it. And, you know, you could have a really small quilt. It'll go a lot faster. It's pretty simple. I take my time at this point because I don't want to have like a big crease in the middle of it. It's kind of therapeutic, just wandering back and forth, smoothing out fabric. Okay, so one thing I want to show you, and I'm going to move the camera, is this section right here. See how this bows down? So what I'm going to do is, and we'll fast forward through this, is I'm going to roll through the whole backing, and I'm going to do it a couple times, and hopefully that will take care of this dip right here. As you can see, the other one's higher up, but this one's not. So we're going to go ahead and roll the backing up, roll it back on the back bar, roll it back up again, and you can do this 4 or 5 times, but hopefully it will take care of the dip there, okay? All right, so once I did that, as you can see now, I don't have that big dip that was here before. Okay, so that was a tip, and I learned that tip from watching Jamie Wallen's video, and I'll post his video at the end of this one. But now it's nice and firm, okay? I probably can't bounce a quarter off it, but I want to show you a mistake that I made. This is a common mistake, and I've done this before. If you look at this, can you tell me what I did wrong? Okay? Just by looking at it, there's a big problem, all right? And I'm going to show you what that problem is. I'm going to pull off this red snapper, and let's get this one off because we have to take it off anyways. I forgot to put it under the bar right here, okay? So now I've got to take off the top part and put the leader under this bar, all right? And I've done this a couple times where I've been like, okay, this is working out really good. I got everything done. And then I look at it and you can see how it's way up here, and I'm not going to quilt way up. You know, you're not going to be able to do this good. So I'm going to have to take this off and put it under the bar right here. All right, so let me go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. Now we're going to load the top. There are 2 ways that you can load the top, okay? You can float your top, which means that you're just going to have the top laying on the back bar, all right? You're not going to put it on the top bar. I normally do not float my tops unless it is an extremely small top. If you float a top, you're going to have your quilt on here. Let's say it's just like this, but all of this stuff is going to be on the bottom. And I don't like stepping on it and running into it, and a lot of times I go up under my bars to check the stitches on the bottom of the quilt. So you can float the top if you want, and that's just laying it, you know, just like this. And you can use magnets, and hang on one second. These are the magnets that you can use to hold the top down. Now, these are really, and I don't think I'm going to be able to get them apart. They're really strong magnets, okay, that you can put on here. You have to watch your fingers. You can buy these at a hardware store near you, and they're really, really dusty. Obviously, I don't use them, but you can use those to hold the top down, but like I said, you're gonna have all this at the bottom here that you may be stepping on, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the top and I'm going to throw it over the bar so I can get to the bottom. And I've marked the center with a pin. So I'm going to bring it to the center of my bar. And I have the tape measure on both sides. And there's a center. And you can get these tape measures from your dealer, and then you just sew it on with your long arm. But here's my center, so I want to match up my center with the pin I put in. Let's straighten this out some more. And I want to bring it just so it's on this bar for stability, okay? And I'll match it up, and I'll just put a little, because this is going to come off when you get to the end anyways. Now we'll go ahead and take our pin out. And you don't have to use like all the red snappers to attach this. I just use the small ones. Because when you get down to quilting the bottom of your quilt, you're going to take these off anyways. Let's see, do I have small ones or do I just have, yes. So I'm just going to stick the smaller ones on here. It's like that. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and roll this. And this is why I don't put my batting on yet, because as you're rolling this towards you, if you already have your batting on, it's going to bunch up your batting. Only thing that I'm going to do is to make sure that, because I've got lines in this, make sure they are straight coming down. And at this time, I'm going to check for threads that are stuck to it. Okay, continue to roll, make sure that it's straight.
We're doing pretty good as far as keeping the lines straight.
And I'm also watching here, so these lines are straight also. And you may have to adjust it a few times. I'll catch a lot of the strings as I'm quilting, because once I roll the quilt as I'm working, I may catch more strings that are on it. You want to just pull those off. If they don't come off, use scissors. Once I get to about where I'm probably going to start sewing, which will probably be about here. As you can see, my lines are straight on here. And flip this over just like this. And now we're going to go ahead and put the batting on. Now what I do suggest that you get, and you can get this at Quilter's Apothecary. I'll double check the website to make sure that they have them. Or you can just use a bed sheet to hook up. But this is going to hold my batting. Okay, so the batting is not on the floor. I don't have to worry about tripping over that. And I just have this hooked up with bungee cords. So it's going to hold my batting. And now use whatever batting you prefer to use. This I bought at Joann Fabrics. And to be honest with you, you really can't tell. I can't tell. the sides. Now, I've tried putting batting both ways. I find that, you know, it's your preference. I know they say dimples up, pimples down, that kind of stuff, but I don't worry about it that much. I haven't had any issues. I put my batting right up to the red snapper. If you noticed, I have a lot of extra material on the sides of where my quilt is going to go. And the reason for that is because you always want the backing and the batting to be wider and longer than the actual quilt, okay? And I use that extra space to try out my patterns. It helps to have the extra so that you've got room to clamp it on and you're not hitting those clamps, okay? And you can always cut off the extra later on. But you want to be able to have that extra because it's going to make it easier for you to quilt, okay? And I just kind of tuck it under the red snapper. Smooth it as you go. Once you have it on there, you can go ahead and put it down in between your bars. Now, what I like to do is bring it up so almost like an accordion. That way I can push it down right into the net that's down here. And like I said, you can use a bed sheet or just get some netting. But this way it's not hanging on the floor. It's not, you know, you don't accidentally find an animal. You know, I have a dog. I don't need to find him laying in between the batting. Cats. Who knows? You may have a pet hamster. He might want to bury himself in it. Or you could find a hole in it because he's taking pieces back to his cage and making a nest. So it fits right in there, just like that. And now it's all nice and neat. Then I'm going to bring my top. And we're going to put the top on here. Just like this. Make sure it's nice and straight. Looks really good. And like I said, I've got extra over here and I have extra over here. So when I want to go ahead and try out a pattern, as you can see here, I'll be able to have enough room here where I can lay a piece of fabric down that's equivalent to what I'm quilting on. And I can go ahead and try out the pattern right here. Check my tension before I actually start on the quilt, okay? And on that side, what I will probably do, because this quilt, the binding on the quilt is only, I think it's really small, really small. So if I have enough left over, what I may do is use the backing as the binding on this quilt. So I'll have plenty of left over that I'll be able to do that. All right, that's it for today. On my next video, I'm going to show you that I will baste it down and I will be using Panavision to do this quilt. So I hope everybody has a great day and happy stitching.